I thought today we would talk about your customer center. So, when you're getting ready for your tax appointment, let me know, do you check your customer center? Meaning, are the invoices, if you use accounts receivable, if you create invoices, are all of the balances that it shows only the customers that owe you? If you're here live, let me know. Let's chat. If you're catching the replay, let me know that too. I wanted to go through the process and teach you how to check to see if you have errors in your customer center. If you're here live, will you let me know that you can see and hear me just fine before we get started? It's nothing like going back and catching the replay and then be like, oh, I didn't have my mic turned on. Okay, so let me know. Would you like me to walk you through the process to check and see and like how this works? Let me know that too. Okay, so let me make sure I'm on the right screen. Okay, good. Thank you, Sandra. Can see and hear me just fine. I appreciate it. Okay, so what we're gonna do, hi, Sally. So let's walk through how you check this. Like, are you checking? So one of the things that I teach is before you go to your tax appointment, you need to be checking your customer center for errors. There's a whole list. Your vendor center for errors. So I thought today I would walk you through how to check it because I thought it would be kind of a great training for everybody to see. So you should be seeing my QuickBooks screen. I'm going to give examples for both desktop and online today. So let's start here. So if you have not been doing this, make sure you take some notes because I'm going to teach you the how-tos. First, you're going to go under reports. There's a couple different, so I'm going to teach you what to be looking for. That's where we're going to start, right? Like first we have to know if we even have mistakes, if you need to fix them, right? So first, do you even have a mistake? Is everything good? Do you even know how to check that? Let's walk through that process. So the first step is to come down, and there's a couple different reports that I actually really like. So write these down. The customer balance detail report is one of them that I like to teach to check. It's this one right here. I have a little screen in the way, so I can't see. Can't see what my screens are. Okay, so then why I like this report, and I'll show you for the desktop users yours, or the online users yours. The reason I like this report is because it separates your customers into sections, right? So every customer, you'll notice the gray lines, that represents in this training file of mine, customers. So what you're gonna do is, if you're watching the replay or you're following along, like do this and look and see if you have mistakes, okay? So auction sales has, look at that, a credit memo and a check and then another invoice. Now, what we would see in the customer center is only the $5,700, the amount owed. What's interesting though is some things need to be cleaned up on this customer, because if you have a credit and an invoice and they're both showing, that means that they haven't been applied together, okay? So what I want you to be looking for is, do you have any of these mistakes? So you're going to go through. I remember working with a water bottling company locally, and I would go in and I'd pull their report all the time and be like, you guys need to clean this thing up. For example, if you have like an invoice and then you have a credit memo or a payment, that means they have not been put together like these, okay? So you kind of want to go through and you want to look at them. The other report that I really love is the Open Invoice Report, okay? This one's going to give you more details. These are really the ones that are open. The other ones show too, but these are the ones you really want to be looking for. So the best report to be pulling is this one, in my opinion. It's going to teach you really what's happening. So if you pull this one and you see, okay, I just have these open invoices, all the payments been applied right, great. If you have credit memos that need to be applied or payments where, so let me open this one up. I'll show you what it's happening behind the scenes. So what's happening behind the scenes is when you come in, let me actually go one step back. Let's do a little mini training on like the process of how to use QuickBooks. So when you create an invoice, and we're only focusing, this is only going to happen if you use invoices. So you create an invoice, your customers are going to pay you later. We follow along the little trail, whether you're a desktop or an online user, and you click receive payments. And you say, okay, I received this much money to this customer, and then you're going to come in here and you're going to check mark it, correct? Let me know if you're here. Is this what you're doing? So what happens is if when you come over to this report, the Open Invoice Report, and you see a payment with just sitting there, it's like negative payment, yet you see invoices, what it means is what? Anybody know? when you went in and added a payment, but you never selected to the right the invoices you wanted to apply it to. It could have happened because you applied a payment before the invoice. It could also be that maybe it was a partial payment, like you only had put down, say, $100 here against this one, but you didn't apply the remaining, right? So what will happen is at the bottom, it'll say, you know, you still have money to apply. What do you want to do with it when you save it? So watch. When I click save, I'll just click save and close. Now I still have $14 on my list and 70 cents. Why is that? Because I've only applied to the right $100, even though I collected $114.70. So what we're doing is when we pull the Open Invoice Report, you are looking to see, do I have any credits, and the invoices that are sitting in here waiting to be paid, do I need to apply those, right? Like, are the list of invoices that are open truly open? Does my customers actually owe me that money? And then also, have I been properly applying their payments along the way? Okay. Does that make sense? If you're here live, let me know. For desktop, for online users, I keep saying desktop. For online users, you're going to want to pull this similar reports. Okay. So on yours, you're going to come over to reports here to the right. I'm going to come into the actual centers, the customer center, and show you how you can look for them there as well. There's two ways. One is through the reports. One is through the actual customer center. There's two places I want you to be checking, okay? So you're going to scroll down, online users, and you're going to go to the category called Who Owes You, right? Who owes you? You're going to scroll down, and you're going to see both your customer balance detail and your open invoice. Open invoice at the moment is my favorite. So what you're going to look at is you're going to go, are these all the customers that owe me? Do I have any credits just sitting here waiting to be applied? So I see Kim says, I have lots of undeposited funds. What happens with undeposited funds, the process of the journey of a customer, is that you create an invoice, you receive the payment, and then it sits in undeposited funds. And you need to record the deposit into QuickBooks. So whether you're desktop or online user, if you're using undeposited funds where it sits in that bank bag that you've heard me talk about so many times, let me go on full camera so you can see me. The bank bag, right? So undeposited funds is all the money sitting in your bank bag waiting to go to the bank. That's what it represents. It's an account in QuickBooks, but what I want you to rethink of it is like, have I taken the money to the bank or not? And so what happens is here, let me share my screen with you. Inside QuickBooks, the list at the top, if you're an online user specifically, is your undeposited funds. So if you skip the process and you go from here, you know, where you created an invoice, you received the payment, and then you just go straight to say the bank feeds and you just add it again. And when you're in the bank feeds, you go directly towards income. Let me close these little screens that pop up. You come in here and you go, we'll go on the received. Let's say that this one here, we didn't match it. We just go straight in and we go, oh, I'm going to record that as a deposit, and you do it as income category. So here it's saying uncategorized income. Maybe you decide to go to like sales and you record it straight. You're duplicating it because you have the invoice and the payment, and then you're going into the bank feed and you're recording again. What you want to be doing instead is going to bank deposit, selecting from that bank bag what actually went in, and then recording it, okay? So when you find that you have undeposited funds, it's also a customer center issue. You didn't do the process in the correct order, okay? If you are a desktop user and you're sitting here and you're going, invoice, receive payment, undeposited funds is messed up, and you have like a number here to click record, but you ignore it, you close it, and then you go straight to the income. That's how you could be doing it, depending on if you're using a bank fee or not going straight to income. That's also wrong, okay? So specifically for today, what I want to be talking about is not so much of the undeposited fund side of it, but more, how do we know if we've created an invoice and received payments that we applied it to our customers correctly. And that's where what I'm talking about today comes into impact, which is using the Open Invoice Report to look and see, do I have credits, or see how it's a negative, it's a credit, payments that have not been applied to any invoice. They're just sitting out there in limbo. So then when you're printing statements or communicating with your customer, there could be errors. So what are you checking, right? This is why I say check it before you do your taxes, but you should be checking it on a regular basis. So if you're a desktop user, one thing you could be doing is pulling the report. The second, desktop and online, is going into your customer center. I typically recommend dropping this down to say active customers or customers with opening balance. And what it will give you is just the list of your customers. Let me make this a little bigger so it's easier to see. I'll minimize this. This list of customers should be the only customers that owe you. Now, if you've created an invoice and you've received a payment, but you didn't match them together, they may not show up because technically their balance is zero. But you may find, and you can let me know if this happens with you, your opening balance will still show. Let me see if I have any in my example here that I could share. I don't today, but you could technically have a zero ending balance while still having an open invoice because you didn't apply the payment properly, which I was showing you before, where that little check mark is. Inside the receipt payments, there's no check mark here. So the full payment, but no check mark, okay? So what I want you to be doing is looking to see, do you have these? And when you come into your customer center and you choose to look at customers with open balance, the only list of customers with any balance that should be in here are what? Let me know if you're here live in the chat. What would these people be? Only the customers that owe you money. The only ones that should show up in this list is if they actually owe you any money at the moment you're at. So like, let's just say you're behind on your bookkeeping. Wherever you're at in that moment of doing your data entry, it would be there. If you're up to current, the only list that should have any balance is the customers who owe you. If they don't owe you, but they're listed there, what does that mean? Let me know. I know we have some people on live, so I'm going to let you guys answer. We're going to play chat with me. What does it mean? What does it mean if inside your customer center, it shows that they owe you even though they don't? That your payments haven't been applied correctly, or you have an error in your overall customer center, right? There's a mistake. That's really all it means. There's a mistake. It's not the end of the world. It's just what it means. So doesn't mean we judge ourselves. It's just the facts. If we look at it just in the facts. So for online users, what I want you to do is come over here to where it says sales. And then I want you to click on customers. And your customers are typically in alphabetical order. You can let me know if yours are. What I want you to do is you have two options. You can either come over here to Open Invoices. So you have the report, and then this is your secondary way of checking. So instead of sorting by opening balance with the drop down for online users, you're going to click on opening balance right here. And what that's going to give you is it's going to give you a list. It's going to say these are all the customers that owe you, and it's going to remove everybody else that's a zero balance. Are you doing this on a regular basis? Let me know. Are these things you're checking on inside your QuickBooks, right? For finding errors and mistakes. Are you doing this? Let me know. So then what you can do is you can come in and go, oh, does Amy's Bird Sanctuary actually owe us $239? And you can click Open Invoices and it will show you the detail, right? So it shows you like balance, payment, and then down here it's like, oh, this is the overdue invoice. And then you can start communicating with your clients if they do owe it. So part of this is learning more about what's happening in your QuickBooks and how to use it as a tool for your business. Sorry. I want to check and make sure if you guys were answering my questions. I couldn't see that you were responding. So I just grabbed it on my phone to make sure. So I want you to be coming in here and saying, these are the only invoices that are currently owed. And if you find there's errors, then we start digging deeper to find out what's wrong with those. Okay. Let me know in the chat, are you guys doing any of this in yours as we go along? Or are you going to do it later? Let me know. For desktop users, if you have a balance here and you want to know what it's for, you're going to look over here. Now, this is a special little filter that most people don't know exists that I want to share with you. Are you ready? Would you like to see the special little filter? Let me know. You guys are way too quiet. Gotta chit chat. So here, you're going to click this drop down and you want to change. So when you're in here, you also want to change this to show balance detail as I go along. Great. So balance detail, you want to be clicking this, and then you want to look over here to the far right, and that's actually going to give you your balance. So if you click here and you click all transactions, which is what most people are looking at, they can't really tell what's happening in the back end of QuickBooks. So you want to change your filter to details, balance details, okay? That's what I want you to be looking at. Sound good? So I'm curious, do any of you have customers in your list that don't owe you, or you see negatives, or things that look like this has not been, there's some errors in here? Do any of you know if you have any errors inside of your customer center specifically? Let me know. Don't be shy. It's something that happens. I want you to make sure you're looking for it. Do you know why it's important to be looking for these things? Let's talk about why it's important. Because the reason I usually have you do it before you file your taxes is because you could be overpaying in your taxes, because this is how we catch those undeposited funds errors or the duplicate in our transactions. Does that make sense? By going in and checking these things, we make sure that we didn't accidentally invoice a customer twice and we're just like, we don't know why it's there and we just ignore it. It allows you to go in and see what the issue is. Okay? Cool. The balance detail, I like that. Yeah, I'm always like, hey, have I taught you guys this? There's so many things to get to learn, but for sure. So on the online users, you're going to click inside here. Let's show you one more time. Yours is going to filter it for you based off opening balance right here. And then you are going to click that, click on opening balance, and it's going to pull it up. Now you have filters too, where you could do it by transaction. You can do it by like unpaid, like you can go through and you can see like open invoices and certain dates, and you can apply that filter for the online users to help you. There's all kinds of filters that you can choose, right? And then you can clear all your filters. The one thing for online is it automatically tells you balance over here. Total, and then tells you the balance. Where does the balance sit? A lot of times though, for desktop users, you don't realize that it's just this simple filter is going to help you pick it. So make sure you're choosing that as well, and then look to see what's actually happening. Okay? So I want to see if any of you said, do you have any errors? I have both. Okay, so some of you I wanted to share with you a training I'm going to be doing. So I want you to first, like, this is the first step, is figuring it out. If you have them and you're like, oh my goodness, I need some help getting these cleaned up, what I would recommend is that you, if this is something you need help with, you can come to our QuickBooks Simplified training. So something I do once a month for my Simplified community is I do training on how to clean up and customize QuickBooks, both for desktop and online users. There are monthly trainings that we have. In April, we're focusing on how to clean up the customer center. In May, we're focusing on how to clean up the vendors, like go in and do this process. So it's learning how to look for them, but then what is the steps depending on what the error is in cleaning them up. If that's something you're needing help with, you can go to QuickBooksSimplified.com. Let me see if I can put up the address so you can find out more about it. I have a video there that will kind of walk you through learning about the Simplified community. It's something that we only open up here and there as it makes sense for trainings that we have going on. It is a community we do training for every single month. We're going to be going on almost 3 years, which is really cool. Now, if you are inside Confidence with QuickBooks and you recently joined, we're going to be doing implementation calls this week and then the next couple weeks. So if you need help cleaning your stuff up, we'll be doing it in there as well. But specifically for those of you who aren't in Confidence QuickBooks and you're wanting help cleaning up how to clean up your customer center and those things, highly recommend you check into Simplified. Or if you're like, I just want to keep growing on my skill levels. So some of you are like, I kind of want to keep growing.